Hello. Today's story is called The Selfish Dinosaur, and it's one I've been telling to children for quite a long time, so I do hope you're going to enjoy it. Now, this story is set millions of years ago, when the world was a very different place, when there were no people, no dogs, no cats, no birds. But I don't want you to think that the world was empty back then. Oh no, far from it. It was full of the most wonderful and exotic animals. And some of those animals lived around a lake. Now, the lake in question wasn't particularly big, wasn't particularly beautiful, and wasn't particularly outstanding, but it was special to the animals that lived there. It was special to the giant dragonflies that would zip and zoom across the surface in the sunshine. It was special to the little frogs who sat on the rocks around the edges at night and went ribbit, ribbit. It was special to the tiny, busy mammals who hid amongst the undergrowth at its edges. But mostly it was special to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little tiny brown fishes, all of them exactly the same and all of them no bigger than my thumb. Now, one day the ground around the lake began to shake and shudder, and lumbering through the trees came an enormous dinosaur with a great big long neck and a great big long tail. The sort of dinosaurs that normally live in great big herds with their families. The truth is, this particular dinosaur was so mean, so bad-tempered and so grumpy that his family had had enough and they had sent him away to live by himself. He stopped when he got to the edge of the lake and he looked around. He thought to himself, this looks like a good place to set up home. There's water for me to drink, there's food for me to eat, and these trees will hide me from any hungry Allosauruses who might be walking past looking for something to eat. I think I'll stay here. And he did. Now, I think I have already mentioned, but this dinosaur was huge. And because he was so big, when he drank a great deal of water every day. And after a while, the lake began to shrink. And the little fishes who lived in the lake, well, they decided to go and see their king, the king of the fishes, because they were very worried. And here they are, going along to speak to the king of the fishes. King of the fishes, they said, you must go and speak to the dinosaur. You must ask him to move on. You must point out to him that dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but fish can only live in water. So the king of the fishes swam into the shallows and waited for the dinosaur to come for his drink. When the dinosaur arrived and he lowered his head towards the water, the king of the fishes shouted in his biggest, loudest voice, "Stop! What do you want?" said the dinosaur grumpily. "Well," said the king of the fishes, "since you've come to live here and been eating and drinking all of the lake water and the trees from around the edge, the lake has changed. It's got smaller. And me and my fishes, well, we're worried. We want you to move somewhere else. After all, dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but fish can only live in water." The dinosaur looked at the king of the fishes, and then in a really nasty voice he said, "I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm faster than you, and I'm cleverer than you. And I like it here. I'm staying. I don't care about fishes. Go away." So the poor king of the fishes swam back into the lake, and another month passed, and the lake grew even smaller. And all the little brown fishes went back to speak to the king of the fishes. "King," they said, "you must go back and speak to the dinosaur again, because we are now very, very worried. You need to tell him that dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but that fish can only live in water. So for the second time, the king of the fishes swam into the shallows and waited for the dinosaur to come for a drink. And as he lowered his head, just as he had done before, in his loudest, most kingly voice, the king of the fishes shouted, "Stop!" "Are you stupid?" said the dinosaur when he saw who was speaking to him. "I thought I'd made myself quite clear. What is it you want now?" "Well," said the king of the fishes, "since you decided to stay, the lake has got even smaller. And, well, we are very, very worried now. Dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but fish can only live in water. It is time that you found somewhere else to live." "And I have told you," said the dinosaur nastily, "I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm faster than you. And I'm cleverer than you. I like it here and I'm staying. I don't care about fishes. Go away!" So for the second time, the poor king of the fishes had to swim away, and the dinosaur took a great big slurpy drink. After another month, the lake was half the size it had been when the dinosaur arrived. And now the little brown fishes were very, 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 very worried. And once again, they went to see the king of the fishes. "King," they said, "go back and speak to the dinosaur. You must make sure he understands that it is time for him to move off. You have to tell him that dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but that fish can only live in water. And you have to make sure he understands, because if you don't, we will find a new king of the fishes. So there." So the poor king of the fishes swam back for the third time into the shallows and waited for the dinosaur to come. And he had to wait a little bit longer than usual, because it took longer now for the dinosaur to reach the edge of the lake than it had when he'd first arrived. But at last he came and he lowered his head down towards the water, and the king of the fishes, in his loudest and most kingly voice, shouted, "Stop!" "Oh, for goodness sake," said the dinosaur. "What now?" "Dinosaur," said the king of the fishes, "look around you. The lake is half the size it was when you arrived. You must see that it is time for you to move on and live somewhere else. Dinosaurs can live wherever they want, but fish can only live in water." "I thought I'd already told you," said the dinosaur. "I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you, faster than you, and cleverer than you. And I like it here. I am going nowhere. I don't care about fishes. Go away!" But this time, the king of the fishes did not swim away. He looked at the dinosaur, who was looking grumpy in the water. And there he is, looking very grumpy. And he said, "No, you might be bigger than me, and you might be stronger than me, but I don't believe you're faster than me, and I don't believe you're cleverer than me." said the dinosaur crossly. "What do you mean?" "Well," said the king of the fishes, "why don't we have a race?" "Oh, very clever," said the dinosaur sarcastically. "After all, you can't walk on the land and I can't swim across a lake, so where are we going to race?" "Well," said the king of the fishes, "can you see that stone over on the far side of the lake?" And he pointed to where a large brown rock jutted out. And here's a picture. You can see it in the background. Can you see it? There it is. "Tomorrow we'll have a race. You can run around the path along the edge of the lake and I will swim across it. Now, whichever one of us arrives first, they'll be the winner. And if I win, then you must go and find somewhere else to live. And if I win, said the dinosaur. Well, said the King of the Fishes, if you win, I promise to leave you alone. I'll go back and tell the fishes that you aren't going anywhere, and we'll just make the most of the time we have left. Is it a deal? Of course, said the dinosaur. I shall beat you easy peasy lemon squeezy. But how will I know that you aren't going to trick me and that you aren't going to send a fish that is very, very fast at swimming to race me tomorrow? Said the King of the Fishes, I wouldn't do that. But just so that you know, tomorrow when I come along for the race, I will be carrying in my mouth the royal pebble. It is bright, white and shiny, and it is the only one in the lake. So you all know that if the fish that comes has the pebble in its mouth, it will be me, because nobody other than the king is allowed to hold on to it. Okay, said the dinosaur. I'll see you tomorrow. In the morning, the King of the Fishes swam into the shallows, and he was carrying in his mouth a shiny white pebble. The dinosaur lumbered down to the edge of the lake and looked. Oh, you've come, he said. Right, Master said go. And before the King of the Fishes could even turn round, he had started pushing his way over the plants and round the corner towards the lake, the other side of the lake. The King of the Fishes began to swim. He swam quite quickly, but he was a very little fish, and it was a very, very long way, and he hadn't gone very far when he started to get tired. And that's when something quite amazing happened. Because as the King of the Fishes began to get tired, another little brown fish with a white shiny pebble in its mouth arrived and started to swim. And that little fish swam and swam until he too became tired, and another little brown fish came with a white shiny pebble and took over. And soon one little brown fish took over from another little brown fish, and they all had white shiny pebbles in their mouths, so that in no time at all they arrived at the other side of the lake. The dinosaur lumbered into view, and he could not believe his eyes when he saw a little brown fish sitting in the shallows with a white pebble in his mouth. What? He said, furious. How did this happen? What? Well, I never liked it here anyway. It was stinky and it was smelly, and I'm going anyway. And before the little fish could even open his mouth, the dinosaur was gone, lumbering off through the trees, grumbling and moaning and grumbling and moaning. Well, the little brown fishes cheered and cheered and cheered. They were so pleased. They and the king went down to the bottom of the lake, where there were quite a lot of little white pebbles sitting at the bottom. And they had a big party, and they danced around and had great fun. And after a few weeks and a few weeks rain, the lake began to return to normal, and after a month it was more or less back to the size it had been before the dinosaur had arrived. Now, I expect you're probably wondering what happened to the dinosaur. Yes, well, he couldn't help himself. He just could not stop himself from being mean and moody and nasty. And one day he upset a baby Allosaurus so much that he made her cry. So that night while he was sleeping, the baby Allosaurus's mummy, daddy, auntie, uncle, granddad and grandma all came round, killed him and ate him, which I think really serves him right. And that's the story of the very, very selfish dinosaur. Goodbye.